KSYM, San Antonio College Radio. This is the Urban Suite D Major, Cheryl Metal. And as promised, joining us for our open mic session this evening, we are thankful to have this true San Antonio legend in the studio with us. Please welcome Big Kree to the Urban Suite. How are you this evening?
I'm wonderful. Tonight has some type of a nostalgia in the air. You know, I'm digging it.
We truly appreciate you coming through, man. No Cheryl's been working on this for a minute, so no time overdue to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and get into it. What is your earliest dabbles in music? Your first memories, actually.
Doing music?
Either doing music or just your discovery of music.
Just being a little kid in the 90s, and my mom would listen to Red Wine, you know, just Spanish music, you know, all types of different genres, and just that nostalgia of just being in the house while she was cleaning. My mom would sing 80s music to me, all kinds of stuff. So I was always a lover of music, a consumer, and eventually I really went towards the rock and roll route, you know. Then that was like the earlier years, and then rapping wasn't really what I thought was going to pan out. It was never on my radar. I wanted to be a rock star, but for some reason I met some people and I fell in love with hip hop, and here we are today.
Wow. So what bands did you follow around that time?
I was like in the punk rock, like the Misfits, AFI, all types of like kind of like underground subgenres of rock. Like going to the White Rabbit when it was the White Rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some of my earliest memories, Sick of It All, some hardcore metal, stuff like that. You know, back when I was, you know, my slim days, I got to crowd surf, and, you know, and that was really the nostalgia of, you know, what came about to who Big Kree is and who Big Kree was, and you know, it's just crazy how it worked out. You
know? Wow. So your friend pretty much turned you on.
Yeah. I had a buddy when I went to high school over here on the west side. I had a buddy at Fox Tech High School, and we would walk home from school, and he'd be rapping, and I'd be like, man, what are you doing? He's like, I'm freestyling, and I'll be like, what's that? And he's like, yeah, I'm freestyling. I'm like, cool. And he's like, you should try it. And I'm like, nah, it's not for me. You know, I'm like a rocker. You know, like I'm not really into that.
Yeah. And
he kind of like twisted my arm. You know, he would beatbox, and we would flow back and forth, and I would beatbox, and it's kind of like what I'm living now is like his dream.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he just needed a sidekick. Like, hey man, I'm bored. Like, you know, we're neighbors. You know, we're homies. We're walking from school, and yeah, shout out to Nathan Gary. You know, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even. He put me on to everything like hardcore hip hop and rap and, you know, Southern music, New York hip hop, and yeah, that really just took me to the next level and just made me the person I am today.
Wow. For someone to just have you as a friend and
just as a friend.
Wow. And to even expose you to all the different variety of hip hop at the time too.
Right, yeah. He was putting me on like Dipset, Jadakiss, everything you could think of, you know, West Coast music, Lil Wayne, when the Hot Boys, you know, the block is hot, you know, when Lil Wayne was a little kid.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh wow, like he don't even have a driver's license, and he's in Hummers and Vets, and you know, the bling bling. I got a memory as far back from the first time I was online and I rapped and did a freestyle. You remember the AOL chat rooms?
Oh yeah.
And you were able to pull up a hip hop one, and you know, you had the little skinny microphone that would pop out.
Yeah.
I remember one time my buddy, you know, we're in his mom's bedroom, right? I'm hanging out his crib, and you know, we had been doing some freestyles like over the radio, and you know, he kind of warmed me up a little. Like my first 6 months, like I got pretty good at rapping. So I remember him being like, all right, like it's gonna be our turn, and whenever I push this button here, he's like, just go off, like no beat or nothing. And we're just rapping, and then I jump in and I'll rap, because we would always kind of sequence with each other.
Yeah.
And you could see on the little chat room, like kind of like the emojis of back then, like fire, like, you know, people would be like, this is amazing. Like it wasn't no emojis, but there was, you know, people were typing out, you know, this is great. Like, man, who are these guys? And yeah, I remember like my earliest internet, you know, rapping, you know, that was probably like 2001, 2002.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that was truly a bit of a motivating factor.
Right. That was the first time ever I received criticism from the internet. Now that I think about it, the first time ever, and it was positive. It was all positive. So I knew from then on there, I was like, well, I got the stamp of approval from random people. Like, let's go.
Man. So from that, when did you started to develop your own style to where you wanted to actually get into the studio and actually start to record?
Well, that same friend of my buddy Nathan Gary, you know, he had big dreams, you know, and then for the rap thing, and I was just tagging along, and you know, it's kind of like he seasoned me. He kind of gave me my swag, and you know, taught me how to dress. You know, Nathan Gary was an educated young black man, you know, and he put the spin on me. You know, he's like, hey, bro, you know, you fly, bro. You know, you do this. You know, taught me dance moves to like everything.
Really?
Yeah. Then we would go and we would skip school from Fox Tech. We would go to Holmes.
Okay.
We would go to Jay. And we would battle other guys, and I was like his secret weapon because he had trained me so good, and he was fire. And he was like, yeah, man, so my Mexican over here, and I'd come in, and that's where the battle rap started, and that's a whole nother story.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just a secret weapon. That's all it was, you know. Like, I never looked the part, you know. To this day, some people look at me if they don't know me, and then when I open my mouth, they're like, oh, wow, like, you know, this guy saying something.
Man. Okay, since you mentioned it, what came first? Recording in the studio or setting up battle raps?
I want to say...
or pretty much simultaneously?
Simultaneously. The battle rap thing didn't start to 2010.
Okay.
That was a different journey, but I had you know, when you freestyle in the cypher, in the circle, you do the lunch table, you know, of course everybody's rapping, but in the early 2000s, late 90s, you're low-key flexing on the next guy or the last guy that said something, you know, and they kind of like, the energy gets going, the next thing you know, you're head-to-head going at it, and that was like my first taste of battle rap. So I knew if I was a great freestyler, you know, further on down the line, 2010, I heard about the Texas Battle League, and I had a friend named Cora that I saw him doing it, and he would encourage me like, hey, you're a great freestyler, you should do it. And that opened a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, for sure.
So how long were you in leagues battling?
I joined the Texas Battle League in 2010, and I did my first tryout. I was already a headliner because I had already been rapping since 2006, like doing shows and putting out projects. So in 2010, I already had I didn't have a battle. Like when you try out, I had to email some footage.
Oh, wow.
But
really?
we had the 2-0 mic pass in 2010. And
okay, I remember that.
And it already had like over 100,000 views back then, and I didn't even know what views was. And I sent it to the guy, and he was just like, this has 100,000? He's like, yeah, you don't need an application or nothing. And matter of fact, you're the headliner. And I was on top of the card. My first trial battle, I was the headliner. And I won, too. Smashed the dude. Smashed him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, smashed him.
Wow.
In Austin. Traveled to Austin.
When was your last battle?
2014.
Wow.
That was my last battle. My era of battling, I did it from 2010 to 2014, and I roughly probably had about 20 battles. I mean, I battled like 2-3 times a year, but when I battled, it always like certain battles wouldn't make the YouTube channel of the bigger leagues if they weren't of high quality.
Yeah,
my battles always made the channel, everything, and I don't think I have a battle. I mean, I might have a couple small ones, like, but all of them thousands of views. Some have 5,000, 10,000. Some I have two that are close to 100,000.
Wow.
And like I said, back then I didn't even know what views was. I was just going to rap just to pass out flyers and CDs. Big Kree, the old school way, like, hey, check out my music. You know, I'm battling people just to get them to hear my music, and that's really what that was about. So in 2014, I was already trying to exit out that because I was really getting out there. I was already out there, you know, with the mixtape game and being independent and selling thousands of physical copies and stuff. So I was like, man, I don't need the battle rap no more. Like, I ain't never really lost, so let me just get out while I'm, you know, I'm already in. Let me just jump right out, and we'll just call it a day, you know.
That's dope. That's dope.
It's the best way to do it.
I love those battles, too, on YouTube. I would love watching those. Kree, killed.
Let's go ahead and get into some music. That's
okay.
Cool. All right. Hey, y'all, stay tuned. We've got music from Casino ATX and Charlie Boy, plus brand new music from Little Kiki coming up. But right now, another track from Big Kree. This is Computer Love. Keep it locked. More coming up. This is the Urban Suite, KSYM, San Antonio College Radio.